Hello everyone. So today I'm going to introduce the trigonometry section now. And today it's just recapping all the questions we met in AS level, but with three new things only, which is the cosecant theta and secant theta and cotan theta. I know in AS level we have already done sine theta, cosine theta, and tangent theta. And now these three are just the reciprocals of sine, cosine, and tangent, which is cosecant theta is 1 over sine theta, secant theta is 1 over cosine theta, and cotan theta is 1 over tangent theta. So how do we remember these easily and don't make any mistakes? Well, firstly, let's see cotan theta. There is a t here, which means it's related to tangent because both two have a t inside, and they don't have t. However, for cosecant theta, it starts with c, and now it's not cosine, it's sine, which is the opposite. And the same as secant theta is not equal to sine, it's equal to cosine theta, 1 over cosine theta. So this is how I remember. So just look at the first letter. If this is an S, then it's related to cosine theta. If it's a C, then it's related to sine theta. But for cotan theta, I think you can memorize it easily. Okay, so now let's do some fun questions. Try to find the graph of cosecant theta, secant theta, and cotan theta by plotting it. Well, I'm not going to do this, and it's your homework. Just if you have time, you can try it, because it will be quite useful. Well, you can just try some values such as 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees on your calculator, and so on, and you will get the graph. Okay, so let's find second 60 degree by using a calculator. So we know that secant 60 degree is equal to 1 over cosine 60 degree. So let's type 1 over cosine 60 degree, which is equal to 2. So which means this is equal to 2. And obviously we can also solve this without using calculator. So we can firstly try to solve cosine 60 degree first, and let's use the special triangle, that's 60, and we learned that in AS, which is these three sides are 1, square root 3, and 2, and cosine 60 will equals to a half, which is 1 over a half, which is equal to 2. And that is what we learned in AS. And now, the most important thing now is the intervals. So what is interval? Interval is something, so when you're doing a question, whether it's in exam or in like exercises, the question will mention something like x is greater or equal than 0 degree, smaller or equal than 2 pi, or something like that. This is called the intervals, which is the domain of x. And that is quite important because when you're solving the trigonometry equations, if there are no intervals, then there are unlimited solutions. So let's try an example. Cotan 2x is equal to 1. Well, let's change this into 10 first. So it will become tan 2x equals 1. And tan 2x is equal to 1. And now we can assume 2x is equal to y, which is tan y equals 1. And let's use our calculator, which is tan negative 1 bracket 1 equals 45 degree. which is y equals to 45 degree. And we learned the circle in AS level. Oh, sorry. And this circle, and now we know that y is equal to 45 degrees. And for the same, we can get the same value. There is also a part here, which here 10 is also equal to 1. And this angle is 45, which is y can also be equal to 180 plus 45, which is 225. And we can continue to add 180 so on. So there are unlimited, like infinite values. And now because 2x is equal to y, so x is equal to 45 over 2. And because y is equal to 180 plus 180 a plus 45, so which means x is equal to 90a plus 45 over 2. Now let's sub a value in, which is, let's try a equals 1, then x, and we can get x is equal to, well, 200, x is equal to 112.5, which 2x is equal to 225 degree. And so we have done the problem that x is equal to 90a plus 45 over 2 for x. So let's solve this equation for theta is greater than 0 but smaller than 180 degree. The second theta is equal to 3 cosine theta minus 10 theta. So let's do the same thing again. Let's change second theta into 1 over cos theta equals to 3 cosine theta minus tangent theta. And let's move the 3 cosine theta to the left, which is minus 3 cosine theta equals negative 10 theta. And this is equal to cosine theta 1 minus 3 cosine squared theta equals negative 10 theta. And this is cosine theta 1 minus 3 cosine squared theta is equal to negative sine theta over cosine theta. Well, this part we learned in AS, which is 10 theta is equal to sine theta over cosine theta. And now, because we know that there is second theta here, so which means cosine theta can't be equal to 0, because otherwise 1 over cosine theta will equal to infinite, and that is not true. So which means we can divide these two cosine theta, and we left 1 minus 3 cosine squared theta is equal to negative sine theta. And let's change cosine theta again, because we have a formula that sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, and this is also in your AS level. So which means 1 minus 3 cosine squared theta will change to 1 minus sine squared theta equals negative sine theta. And this is equal to 1 minus 3 plus 3 sine squared theta equals negative sine theta. And then 3 sine squared theta plus sine theta minus 2 is equal to 0. And this we can assume that sine theta is equal to x, which means 3x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to 0. And let's do the quadratic again, which is 3, 1, 2, 1, and here's a negative sign, which is 3x minus 2 times x plus 1 is equal to 0, which means sine theta is equal to -1 or 2/3. However, here you will find that sine theta if sine theta is equal to -1, then theta will be equal to something like 270 degrees and 270 plus 180 plus 360 and so on. Well, when you substitute this value into cosine theta, these values are cosine theta will equal to 0, which are not satisfied because here we have assumed that cosine theta is not equal to 0, which means sine theta equals -1 is not a solution. So what we left, sine theta can only equals to 2/3. And now let's use our calculator, which is negative sine inverse sine 2/3, which is equal to 41.8. And because we know theta is greater or equal than 0, smaller or equal than 180, and let's use the circle. We know that for sine, these two have the same sine value, which means we use 180 minus this angle, we will get that angle. So our 180 minus 41.8 is equal to 138.2 degree. And that is our answer, which is theta is equal to 41.8 degree and 138.2 degree. And that is all for today. And for trigonometry part, there are lots of formulas and exercises and lots of algebra manipulations, which you should try to do more exercises on. And tomorrow I'm going to teach you some other parts about trigonometry. Yeah, thank you for watching.